While most everyone is losing hope in Bitcoin, BlackRock is sending a silent warning that no one is paying attention to. We've seen the biggest week of inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs in months. And then this week, a BlackRock insider was on Pete Rizzo's, I think it's Bitcoin Historian podcast, and he just said this.
Of these various risk factors or disruptive threats that face the rest of the traditional asset class base occurring, and Bitcoin reminding people of its value proposition as a monetary alternative that exists independently of the political, economic, fiscal, monetary systems of any one country, right? And so whether that's a renewed focus on debt and deficits like we've talked about, other geopolitically disruptive events, we've seen a handful of these over time, whether it's conflict between nations, concerns over stress in banking systems, political upheaval in important economies and parts of the world. These have at times been catalysts to Bitcoin in the past. I think that memory of those has faded a little bit and been overrun partly by the sort of risk-on trading mentality and narrative. But one or more of those episodes coming back and a re-reminder of the important role that we believe Bitcoin can play as a diversifier and a potential hedge in portfolios, then I think the conversation shifts from, is this too risky for us, to actually, is it risky not to hold any?
One more real quickly, Robbie, before we wrap. So for the Bitcoiner in our audience who might be still wary of Wall Street getting too close to their asset, what would you say to them?
Well, these ETFs have been incredibly successful, but they're still a very modest part of the overall Bitcoin market. And, Bitcoin is not controlled by anyone. It's an incredibly decentralized asset that's part of the huge appeal and differentiation that it has. So I think that actors like us and other asset managers and banks that have taken an interest in this space and worked to develop products, I think they've made the space stronger, more diversified, and have helped make this accessible to more investors. So I hope people appreciate that that's been a force for good ultimately for Bitcoin.
Okay, guys. So first of all, that beginning, I'm a fan of Robbie Mitchnick. I like the work he's doing, but that first part was kind of brutal to get through. You think, when the BlackRock asset managers would come in, that they would be able to speak a little better about the space? I mean, that's their job, right? I don't know how I am a little even more entertaining than he is. I mean, but hey, I guess it's subjective, right? There's two things that I want to point out. The first one is, I think, the big signal of that clip, which is we have entered a new era. We've been talking about this for a while. So for you guys that watch the show every single day, forgive me for repeating this message. But as we've seen in the last year, I would say last year in particular, obviously since January 2024, when BlackRock launched their Bitcoin ETF, there's been a very consistent message in the traditional markets around Bitcoin. And it's this idea of, oh, hey, Bitcoin's too risky to invest in. I don't want to put money into this thing. And I do have, literally, forgive me again, we got the latest update on the Clarity Act, so I'll cover that in a little bit. But as we are in this Clarity Act fight right now to get regulations into Bitcoin, we are starting to see a bunch of factors that are leading the institutions, Wall Street in particular, to view Bitcoin from a thing that's too risky to invest in to a thing that is probably risky not to invest in right now. As we've been covering for a while, we have entered a new phase of Bitcoin adoption. We've entered this era where it's not a matter of if I should buy Bitcoin, it's how much should I buy Bitcoin? How much of my portfolio should I get in Bitcoin? We've been covering these new reports consistently, whenever they drop from these institutions, whether it's, Fidelity, Bitwise, or even the Blackrock ones, we have gone to a portion where it's basically get off zero. Look, it doesn't matter what percentage of your portfolio, or if you're all in like we are and you view it as money, but you need to get off zero. So if that means just investing 1%, maybe 2%, which is probably like the safe conservative bet right here, or right now that we're seeing from all of the institutions, like, hey, look, just put 2% in your portfolio. There's actually a good, I don't even think I liked it, but there was a good graphic showing Bill Miller's portfolio, who's a longtime Bitcoin investor. And I think if I remember correctly, he basically just invested about 2% of his portfolio into Bitcoin in 2014. And now over that 10, 12 years, Bitcoin's like half of his portfolio simply by just that 2% sitting there, not moving, not being touched. Because of the growth and compounding growth of Bitcoin, it's become a huge portion of people's portfolios, which is something that James Lavish has talked about last year, where he said, look, the 60-40 portfolio it doesn't work anymore. And the risk return, the ROI of just adding 1% to 2% of your portfolio into Bitcoin in that traditional 60-40 portfolio management kind of allocation, the returns, it's basically like you're dumb not to do it, because the risk of losing that 1% is like, okay, 1% of your portfolio, hey, everyone makes a bad trade. But if Bitcoin continues to grow, then obviously the returns are like exponential compared to just a traditional 60-40 portfolio. So what we've seen right now, and I think this is part of the broader conversation that everyone's trying to wrap their head around, is that, look, you can maintain a more traditional portfolio allocation, say 60-40, bonds and stocks, or you can invest in real estate, or, maybe you're a little more of the doomer side and you want to have bonds and stocks and real estate and gold, but you are really missing out on a lot by not adding Bitcoin into that portfolio. Now, obviously, when I say portfolio, for a lot of us, Bitcoin is like, hey, look, Bitcoin isn't a trade. It's not just an investment. Like, this is our money. Like, what are you talking about, Opti? Did big Bitcoin get you? And actually, on that note, before I go on, I did get a message. I got reached out this morning by Big Bitcoin, and they said if I didn't pledge my loyalty and undying allegiance to big Bitcoin, then they will pull all of our funding. So, hey, we're no, I'm joking. It was a joke. Sorry, bad joke. I had to do that one. What we're seeing though is, again, it's becoming too risky not to invest in Bitcoin. So the conversation has shifted from, hey, don't touch that thing, to, wait, actually, how much of your portfolio, how much of your investment, how much of your capital should be in Bitcoin? Again, we've seen 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%. The highest we saw was, I believe it was BlackRock. They said, if you are convinced in this new industry, this new asset, then you could go as high as 22%. if you have the risk tolerance for it. So we are in a new kind of phase of Bitcoin. And the only reason I'm elaborating so much on it is because these asset managers are now out here shilling Bitcoin. It's like, look, you got to add some to it. Now, obviously, this process is very slow. And, it still goes back to the multiple touch points of Bitcoin. Maybe the first time your asset manager says it, you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, they're just trying to make money off of me. And then you go live your life, and then you kind of hear some Bitcoin news, and then he's like, hey, maybe you want to add a little bit of Bitcoin to it. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And then 3, 4, 5 times down the line, it's like, hey, look, Bitcoin's 50% off right now. You should probably add some into your portfolio. It's going to go back all-time high. Plus, it's probably going to go higher than that. It's going to be a good investment. And this is one of the trends that we kind of have been covering on the show for a while, that these institutions aren't just doing this because, they're interested in the tech, they're interested in the blockchain, and they are forcing Bitcoin onto their clients. It's actually the opposite. The clients are the one out there saying, hey, look, you're supposed to be the smartest asset managers in the world. and you have basically locked me out, or rather maybe put a little more strictly into the framework of everything. I have been basically locked out of Bitcoin for the first 17 years. And now we have an ETF. Yes, it's 2 years old. Now we're almost seemingly on the other side of Clarity Act passing. They're like, hey, look, I don't want to miss out on these gains anymore. I need to add some Bitcoin into this. Can you do this for me? You are the one that's supposed to be managing my money, and you're missing out on the gains. So again, this is coming from the customers of these asset managers that are looking at Bitcoin's past performance and being like, hey, maybe I just throw a little bit of money into this and it's going to continue to go up, which obviously I completely agree with, and I'm 100% on board with that idea. Now, the second part, which I did have to slip in the big Bitcoin. Wait, pause. I did have to mention the big Bitcoin kind of meme. It honestly, shouts out to the Bugle. I think it's one of the funniest memes right now. It's so good. The big Bitcoin memes are, they're actually making me laugh. I don't know if you guys saw, but I was going to troll on today's thumbnail and do big Bitcoin's killing the plebs, metaphorically, of course. I think it's so funny. But that second part of that clip, where I forgive me, I don't know who Pete Rizzo's partner was in that clip, but he asked Robbie Mitchnick, again, he is executive director, head of digital assets at at BlackRock. And, he asked, like, what would you say to the Bitcoiners that are still feeling a little weird about Wall Street coming into Bitcoin? And he's like, hey, look, from what it sounds like, again, obviously, he could be doing just say what the audience wants to hear, but it does sound like he understands Bitcoin. He's like, look, it's a decentralized network. Like, we don't control the network. In fact, I would like to believe that Bitcoiners could acknowledge that BlackRock and Fidelity and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and Charles Schwab, E-Trade, have opened up Bitcoin into broader markets. There's more liquidity now that can enter Bitcoin because of all of these products. And partially, for me, I'm like, yeah, I thought we were all on this mission to make sure that the entire world gets into Bitcoin. And, the Bitcoin is enemy memes. Look, I don't have to like what everyone does with Bitcoin, but I do want to see everyone interact with Bitcoin. And part of that is Bitcoin infiltrating the traditional financial system. Maybe and I think I've said this on the show before, maybe our view of hyper Bitcoinization, even though I do think it is correct that eventually, maybe not in my lifetime, but, sometime soon in the near future, within the next century, that the entire world will be interacting with Bitcoin. It could happen a lot quicker. It could be happen S-curve adoption, like technology gets adopted very quickly. I think there is a bit of a pushback because it is money and there is an ideological backing to money. People do have ideological priors on money. So it could happen a lot quicker. But what we are seeing, and I would agree with what Robbie said in that clip as well. Like, I think Bitcoin's decentralized. I don't think the institutions coming in can co-opt Bitcoin. Obviously, I'm doing my part as much as possible by basically taking my Bitcoin into custody, not putting them in these Wall Street wrappers. I think that's all we can really do, is essentially buy Bitcoin, store Bitcoin, use Bitcoin. If you don't like what Wall Street is doing, I think the best way to compete with them, obviously we don't have the bags, but the best way to compete with them is you buy the Bitcoin. If you don't like what other people are doing with the Bitcoin, well, hey, maybe you need to get greedy and buy more Bitcoin. That's kind of how I view this. I view this more of an economic war. Hey, look, I may not have billions of dollars or even, millions of dollars sitting on the sideline, but I can do my part of stacking as much Bitcoin and making sure that they don't get their hands on that Bitcoin. That's, from my vantage point, I'm like, that's basically all we can do. Run your node, stack Bitcoin, store Bitcoin in self-custody, and try to get as many sats under your control so it doesn't get into their hands. That's kind of how I view this whole thing playing out. But there was one more thing that I think might be helpful to elaborate on. Robbie Mitchnick said something on the lines of, look, yes, the ETF, the BlackRock ETF and ETFs at large, Bitcoin ETFs, yes, the IBIT was BlackRock's best performing ETF launch ever. But if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, he's completely correct when he says, look, like the ETF inflows for the Bitcoin market, it's still a very small portion of the entire global liquidity, daily trading liquidity. And I did look up at the numbers. This is just a quick Google here. You know, Google AI, for everyone that says I don't use AI, and Google is an AI. Yes, we know. So the total daily trading volume of Bitcoin across major global crypto markets is approximately $156.5 billion. So 156 billion on average traded daily. I've heard numbers from, 30 to 50 billion to now as high as 150 billion. Maybe the 30 and 50 billion number is just the trading volume in the US, but globally, we're going to use that number. Even if we use 30 billion, the point still remains the same. So anywhere between 30 and 150 billion dollars of daily trading volume. I'm almost positive that 30 to 50 is just in the US. So anyways, let's look at the ETF inflows. And this is Bitfinex tweeting this. And they go, Bitcoin ETFs posted 7 straight sessions of net inflows, the longest run in 21 weeks. So the ETF inflows are coming back online. The smart money is interested in Bitcoin. They're looking at a 50% discount and they're like, yeah, I want to get back into this. This is a bottom. Yeah, I want it on a 50% discount. Now, obviously, the ETF inflows aren't the only thing that's driving the Bitcoin price, but they are one of the recent factors that are driving the Bitcoin price. So let's look at all of these inflows so we can kind of gauge whether Robbie Mitchell was correct in his thinking that, look, the ETF inflows are only a small portion of the daily Bitcoin trading. Here is CoinGlass.com, and these are the total Bitcoin spot ETF net inflows. So today we saw a little bit of an outflow. Still some time to reverse course on that, but probably doubtful. That's probably why we saw the price go down, not just the ETF inflows. I saw something that like 60 million 60 million longs were liquidated this morning in like an hour. So there's factors. There's some things that are obviously pushing back on the Bitcoin price, but it is, as I remember saying, telling Intra Belden yesterday or 2 days ago, he's like, are we going to get one more pullback? And I'm like, I think we're kind of seeing it right now. Still playing out with the wick-off accumulation. It's almost happening exactly as I said it was going to. Now, I could be wrong here, but, we're going to get a little pump. We're going to get a little pullback. If we start pumping again into the 70s, I'm sure we'll see a very similar pattern where we pull back a little bit. And then the real eye on the prize is if we get to the 80s, mid 80s, I'm like, yo, it's over. It's completely over. And I will expand a little bit on the culture. It does seem like a lot of people are also picking up on maybe this cycle. It's not repeating, but it is kind of rhyming, but things are different. But anyway, let's look at this. So I'll go in US dollars here on the chart. And forgive me for it being so small. I can barely read it myself. So since, what is this? July 14th, we saw $181 million go in. The next day, $107 million, then $79 million, then $132 million, then $226 million, then $205 million. And yesterday, we saw $69 million of inflows going into the ETFs. Again, global Bitcoin trading volume, depending on the number, anywhere between 30 and 50 billion and 150 billion worldwide. So, a couple hundred million, maybe even $200 million. It's like, yeah, that's significant capital if it was us as an individual buying Bitcoin. But in the context of the entire Bitcoin trading market, it's not as much as you would expect if you are just following the conversations on Twitter, which is, oh, big Bitcoin's here. They're taking over. They have co-opted everyone. It's like they have just added to the liquidity pools here. They're just a small portion of the market, which again, I thought we wanted every market to get into Bitcoin. So personally, I was very concerned about the Wall Street takeover of Bitcoin when BlackRock first came into Bitcoin. It was one of those things where I was like, I don't really know how to feel about it. I thought we were here to separate money and state. I thought we were here to get away from Larry Fink. And then he went full Bitcoin, and you're like, you know, again, maybe I'm maturing. You guys are going to say I'm selling out because I got the call from Big Bitcoin. I already know. But it's like, I thought we wanted the entire world to get on Bitcoin. And as much as I'm not a fan of the Bitcoin, or sorry, Wall Street Bitcoin wrappers, it has opened up Bitcoin to new liquidity pools. A la what Sailor is doing with the Stretch product and Strive and Stride and Strike, all these different Bitcoin products that are tapping into different pools of liquidity. It's like, I thought this was what we were doing here. Yes, I want individuals to hold Bitcoin. Obviously, that's what this whole show is about. That's what I advocate for every single day. But also, I don't believe in a world where we're going to move into for the next decade plus where there isn't going to be corporations. My view of this is like, there's always going to be a corporation. Hopefully in time, we'll be able to see that these corporations are more honest, that there is less rehypothecation, that they, you know, if they mess up, if they blow up, there is no bailouts. And thus, we would see that the markets would be much more honest. So I'm viewing all of this maybe in a slightly different view than maybe a lot of ideological Bitcoiners. I'm like, look, I want the entire world to get into Bitcoin. As much as I don't care for an ETF or even for the Bitcoin treasury stonks, it's like, hey, if more people are interested in this and more capital is finding its way into Bitcoin, that is a good thing, in my opinion. I'm like, I thought that's what we wanted to do here. I no longer view this through the utopian lens that there's not going to be corporations, there's not going to be ETFs, that every single person is just going to hold Bitcoin and we're going to transact in Bitcoin. It's like, I think eventually we will get to the point where everyone views Bitcoin as money, but that's not the world we live in right now. And as I've always mentioned, I'm like a Bitcoin pragmatist here. Yes, I have my ideological priors. I have what I hope to happen, but I also look at reality and I sit back and I'm like, okay, well, look, people want stable coins, specifically in the third world. It's like people want the Bitcoin ETFs, particularly those on Wall Street. It's like some people want to buy strategy and MSTR and Strive and get, 11 to 13% return, yieldly returns. Personally, that doesn't really interest me. But all of this combined, I don't think necessarily means that people aren't going to start saving in Bitcoin and using Bitcoin as money either. I don't think it's a this or that. It's a both situation here. And as much as maybe things aren't going exactly as we thought it was, it's still all going in the right direction. I just keep getting the Star Wars Palpatine meme, like, great, everything is going exactly as planned. Like Wall Street is getting infected with the bug, with the virus that is Bitcoin. I like inoculation, I like cure more than virus. Virus just sounds bad. They are all getting caught with the cure that is Bitcoin. The greed of, hey, I can make a lot of gains here. I can be the greatest trader in the world. All I have to do is buy Bitcoin at 50% off and sell it at, all-time high again. And they're making crazy returns compared to what they do on Wall Street. Remember, S&P 500 is like a CAGR of like 15, 20%. I think it's actually lower. I think it's like 12%. In the last 5 years, though, Bitcoin, I think CAGR is like 15%. So we're not doing the best right now, but it's not over. What we are seeing is that the institutions are starting to come around. And remember, this idea that we've been talking about here on the show, something I used to kind of bring up all the time, these big institutions, you got to think of them more of like a warship. They're like the Titanic. It takes a long time for them to kind of turn around. All of us here are nimble little speedboats. We can make a decision on the dime and we can go all in on Bitcoin while they're, trying to turn the ship around, while they're trying to persuade their clients to invest in Bitcoin, while they're trying to get the necessary legal framework for them to get into Bitcoin. While they're moving slow, we can capitalize on the fact that, Bitcoin's 50% off. It's like now is the time to front run all of this stuff. And if you're sitting on the sidelines thinking like, oh, I don't want to buy Bitcoin because Larry Fink's buying Bitcoin, because Saylor's buying Bitcoin, I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, this is when you should be buying Bitcoin. When everyone from the institutions is trying to make up their mind on whether they should buy Bitcoin, we just already did. And we're like, yeah, by the time they finally come into Bitcoin in bulk, we're already basically all in. We get to gain all of the benefits of them finally coming in. It's a strange view of this because a lot of people don't want to see the corporations. A lot of people want to see Wall Street completely fail. And I think at times we will be seeing Wall Street start to blow up when they interact with Bitcoin. But I also kind of view this as in like a symbiotic relationship. That to get to the numbers that we think Bitcoin will get, it will have to get there via these institutions and corporations. I know, hot take. But I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism. I believe in capital allocation. I believe in companies trying to provide value. And just because it's a corporation doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want them to buy Bitcoin. I want everyone and everything to buy Bitcoin. Remember, you know, in the world that we live in right now, corporations have the same rights as humans. So, hey, look, corporations are people too, man. No, now I'm really going to get you guys angry. But it is an interesting kind of thought process going on. BlackRock's out here shilling Bitcoin. They're super hyped on Bitcoin. I mean, they're funding Bitcoin development, which is like the new big thing going on right now. Actually, shouts out to my boy Ben Justman, Bitcoin Ben Wine Guy. He did a tweet yesterday, and I saw this after the show. And you know, I covered the Bitcoin Development Consortium yesterday, or I think that's what it, Bitcoin Security Consortium. And Ben was like, "Wait, so." We got mad at Saylor because he wasn't funding Bitcoin developers. And now we're mad at Saylor because he is funding Bitcoin developers. It's like, make up your mind. Like, what do we really want? And it really goes into, one, obviously bear market vibes. But two, I swear Bitcoiners just like to get pissed off. Like, we just love to be mad about something. Like, no one can do anything right in the Bitcoin space. And it's just kind of funny when you pull back a little bit. It's like, okay, look, when you're building in public, you're not going to make everyone happy. You might as well just do the best you can, and obviously try to follow the Bitcoin ethos here, and do what you think is best as a Bitcoiner. Truly, like with the Bitcoin principles, first principles, Bitcoin foundation that we all kind of grew up out of. But like, not everyone's going to be happy. It's funny. On another note, some of the news that you see, there's always like people that are glazing that are like, oh man, good move. And then the other people are like, what a effing idiot. Like, we knew this was going to happen. And it's just so funny to watch right now. Maybe because of what's going on and where I'm at, the vantage point that I have is making Bitcoin content. I'm always looking at the news, and it's funny to look at comments on certain things and people just freaking out. They're either super happy about something, and in the very same post there's someone that's just cynical and pessimistic about things. And I'm seeing BlackRock like shill Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Larry Fink or BlackRock, but like, they're out here shilling Bitcoin, and they're basically telling you, hey, look, we've gotten to the point where people want to invest in Bitcoin. They just want to know how much to put into Bitcoin. I'm like, the game's evolved. The game has fundamentally changed. And yet, everyone is still waiting for 40K in October. Do not be like those guys. Do not be like them. I think we're in a very good position. Anyways, I'm going to keep it moving. It is kind of a slow news day here. So this might be a little shorter show than usual. Again, following up right now, I will give you an update on the Clarity Act, guys. I'm just as tired about the Clarity Act as you are, but we did see we did see a little bit of backtracking here since yesterday's show. And then I'm only going to do kind of the news, the numbers, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Kind of like a culture, 3-segment show today. Again, it's kind of a slow news day. There's some things happening, but I'm like, it's just not that interesting. All right, guys. So forgive me, slower show or shorter show on a Friday. But hey, we showed up and we're gonna chat about it. I think you guys might like the culture a little bit. Maybe we'll pull up a little memes here. So, if you want some memes, tag me on Twitter, and during the breaks, I will pull them up and we can have a little chill, relaxed, casual Friday. First break, I'll be right back. Here's the part that nobody says out loud. Buying Bitcoin on an exchange and leaving it there isn't buying Bitcoin. It's buying an IOU. And the last decade has been a masterclass in what happens when those exchanges don't deliver on their promises.
Bitcoin Well is a self-custody Bitcoin platform. That means that when you buy Bitcoin, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet. You actually own it from the very first transaction. They're available both in the United States and Canada. Pricing is transparent, straightforward, and no nonsense. And if you're buying a larger amount of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Well Infinite gives you concierge-level support through a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, premium help for when it actually matters.
You can also stack a little extra through the referral and wishing well rewards. A nice bonus on top of the owning your own Bitcoin thing. So go to bitcoinwell.com/simply and sign up for the Bitcoin Well portal today and buy Bitcoin you actually own. Paper burns, paper floods, paper fades. If your seed phrase is written on paper, it's not really backed up. It's waiting to disappear. Stampseed's DIY kit lets you hammer your seed words directly into commercial grade titanium. Fireproof, crush-proof, waterproof, and permanent. Once your words are in the metal, they aren't going anywhere. Use code SIMPLY at stampseed.com for 15% off anything in the store. That's stampseed.com, code SIMPLY. All right, guys, before we move on, of course, shouts out to the Rumble Wallet team. Go to wallet.rumble.com. Again, I think it's for all of July. They are giving you $10 to sign up to the Rumble wallet. Use the code SIMPLY10. Go try the wallet. Literally, they're giving you money basically just to try it. It might become one of your favorite wallets. It is non-custodial, and as you know, we are huge advocates and believers in freedom of speech. Yes, we're on YouTube. We got to play within the lines, but that's why we love Rumble. That's why we do Rumble exclusive shows over there, so that we can talk a little more freely, because it's something that we love. We love Bitcoin. We love you taking Bitcoin into custody, hence why non-custodial wallet's super important. And also, freedom of speech. Go support your favorite content creators on Rumble. The ones that are saying the things that other people aren't saying, that can't be said on other parts of the internet. That's why we love this wallet, because you can just sign up literally in seconds. Go to your favorite app store, Google, Apple, download the Rumble wallet, use the code SIMPLY10, and then start supporting your favorite content creators on Rumble. Dude, they're giving you money to just use the wallet, to try out the wallet. Again, maybe it'll be better than one of your other phone wallets. So on that note, again, go to wallet.rumble.com. Use the promo code SIMPLY10, and they will give you money to use the Rumble wallet. Anyways, current Bitcoin price is $64,010. I repeat, 64010. It is currently a 49.3% discount from all-time high. Wow, dude, we're under 1.3 trillion market cap. Current market cap is $1.28 trillion, and the block height is 959,448. So, updates on the Clarity Act, guys. I have Clarity Act fatigue. I know, look, I have Sailor fatigue. I have Clarity Act fatigue right now. I have bear market fatigue. I'm just, can I get a time machine so I can just fast forward like a month? and be vindicated that we didn't drop to 40K in October and we're at 85K. It's also tiresome right now. It's also tiresome. But anyways, we covered the Clarity Act where we stood yesterday. The biggest news was obviously that the Senate Republicans finally got the Clarity Act text in. They gave the Democrats everything they wanted in the ethics provisions. And then the Democrats were still not happy. That's where we stood yesterday. And there was, a lot of conversation of, hey, there's still a chance to get this through in the next 3 weeks. Probably get it done before the August recession. When they come back, it's the midterms. Well, we got a update from Representative Thune. And now, guess what, guys? Can you guess what's happening with the Clarity Act? I've been saying it every single time. It's the same thing. Can you guess what is going to happen? Now the prevailing narrative is it's probably going to be delayed. And it might not hit the August recess window. Wow. I mean, who could have saw this coming? Who could have seen this coming? Amazing. Okay, anyways, let's watch the clip. This was, I forget what news station, but this was on the television, the Television this morning. Here's the latest on it. It's also tiresome.
Leader John Thune is still likely to bring this wider crypto bill up for a vote ahead of the August recess, whether or not it can pass to get members on the record for where they stand. But at this point, a lot of work is going to need to be done for the bill to get the required 60 votes, and they do not have much time left. Guys?
Yeah, there is that deadline of the August recess, Emily, and then you've got the midterms, which are pretty much around the corner in November, which plays into the game. I mean, if the Senate loses, Republicans lose some seats there, Democrats gain in the House, that changes the landscape for this bill, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, Melissa. And look, there are Democrats who do say that they want to see regulations around crypto pass, that they are supportive of the crypto industry. But the fact of the matter is that if you look at where those folks stand, Republicans versus Democrats, it's been a much bigger priority on the Republican side than the Democratic side. And I think if you do see a divided government next year, you're going to see a lot of focus on Democrats investigating the Trump administration, probably less on moving through some of these major pieces of legislation.
Look, I don't want to say like it's officially over, but bro, it's not looking that good. And I also saw this morning, check out this tweet from Watcher Guru. Just in Crypto Clarity Act faces collapse. President Trump ethics concerns stall the Senate. So look, they keep saying next week. All right. Next week we'll know. I don't know if that's still standing, but this week has been super interesting in terms of like how the evolution of the narrative around the Clarity Act has happened. Monday, it was like very hopeful. It's like, oh, hey, this is the week we're going to start talking about the Clarity Act. The final text of the Clarity Act coming in by what was it? Wednesday. It's like, okay, the ethics provisions are in. Senate Republicans did their job. We gave the Democrats everything they wanted. Yesterday, it was like the Dems are like, nah, bro, this isn't good enough. We want more. And that's kind of what I was saying on the show yesterday, that I'm sure by the end of the week, we are going to see even more backtracking from the Senate Republicans. I forget who it was that said it, but to paraphrase a little bit, it was something on the lines of, hey, look, the Republicans gave the Democrats everything they wanted. It was Thune in that what she was mentioning in that clip. Thune's like, hey, look, the Republicans gave the Democrats everything they wanted, but they might have to compromise a little more. So that's where we stand on the Clarity Act as of the end of the week. So as of today, now it's like the most bearish it's been on the Clarity Act passing. Again, from the news and coverage that I was seeing and covering yesterday, next week, that we'll have more deliberation on it. But now we've seen the can get kicked down just a little further down the road. And it's like, look, it might not even get past in this August recess time window that they've been saying for, I don't know, over a year is when it would pass. Though I did see my boy Ansel, I always forget how to say his last name. It's like Bitcoin markets analysis, Ansel Linder. He said, look, it's doing exactly what I said it was going to do. Look, it's not going to pass this year, but it will pass after the red wave in the midterms. And I was like, I mean, I don't think I've heard anyone say that there might be a red wave in the midterms. We'll see. We shall see. But he's like, yeah, it'll probably pass next year. It's going to pass next year after the red wave in the midterms. I'm like, yo, contrarian take, hot take here, Ansel. But we'll see. Honestly, as of now, it seems like where we currently stand, and the sentiment can obviously shift, you know, day by day. But it does seem like the Clarity Act passing is almost collapsed at this point. I guess Elizabeth Warren still has pull over there, you know? Elizabeth Warren still got the clout to stop the Clarity Act. Which part of me, like, again, you guys know I'm repeating myself about where I stand on all this stuff, but, like, part of me is the, hey, you know, Clarity Act, the prevailing narrative. Clarity Act's going to pass. Capital's going to come into Bitcoin. Numbers going to go up. It's like, cool. Yeah, I've heard that before. Fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Like, can't fool me again. We've all fallen for this a lot of times in Bitcoin. Obviously, hey, you guys know me. I'm a unashamed number go up maxi. I want to see the capital come back in. You know, I want to see a boatload of capital getting into Bitcoin. I want to see number to go up again. I'm like a 2017 junkie here. I'm like, dude, are we ever going to see a bull run like 2017 ever again? It's so over. On the other hand, you know, shouts out to Mr. Robot on Rumble. I'm like, dude, it's from the stuff I'm seeing right now come out from Senator Lummis and 7. I love Senator Lummis. Like, dude, it really is just a surveillance bill, huh? Like, man, this is not good. I think I saw this morning, like the law enforcement organization or something. Now they're embracing the Clarity Act this morning. Here, actually, let me pull that up for you guys. So I'm little clearer, a little more accurate on where we are or what was said. But now they're like, law enforcement is now embracing the Clarity Act. I'm like, yeah, I think it's cooked, bro. I think it's absolutely cooked. Like, I don't want to see this go through at this point. How about it fails? We do another 2 years to get it going. Bitcoin does well during that time. Like, we don't need the regulation at this. Oh, here we go. The Fraternal Order of Police, the largest law enforcement organization in the country with 382,000 members, now officially endorsed the Clarity Act. A complete reversal from 2 months ago when they strongly opposed the bill's developer safe harbor provision. The updated draft added a dedicated law enforcement section with increasing funding for state and local crypto investigations, blockchain analytics tool, training programs for cops and prosecutors, a new cyber center, and a requirement for stablecoin issuers to comply with lawful orders to freeze, seize, burn, or reissue tokens. The BRCA developer safe harbor reportedly survived intact, but the trade-off was handing law enforcement a funded surveillance upgrade that didn't exist before this bill. Worth watching what blockchain analytics tool and cyber center look like in practice. So, you know, Mr. Robot. Oh, I didn't pull it up. Sorry, guys. Mr. Robot on Rumble. Probably right. This bill's probably going to be horrible. So, hey, look, I'm not really that mad that they are delaying this. Let's just get this behind us. Let's just get it behind us, all right? Please, for the love of God, Can we finally see it stall so I don't have to talk about it again? So or further pass so I don't have to talk about it anymore. You know, side note, it is interesting in the context of, you know, like the political process in general. And it's making me think of, you know, like politics is kind of designed to demoralize you. Like the process in itself is grueling and grinding. And not that I'm demoralized here, but I'm just like, I'm so tired of politicians and bills with Bitcoin. I'm not meant to be a politician, all right? I wasn't built for that. I'm built to be a highly regarded talking head on YouTube that comes out here. I'm the court jester here. That's what I'm built for. Making some laws, entertaining you as we cover some interesting stuff. You know, I can go deep in it, but also really I just want to have you enjoy the time we spend together. All right, guys. I'm going to hit the break and then we will, I think we're just going to kind of shoot the shit for the rest of the day. It's, you know, I'm here alone. I'm going to try to get you a little more interactive on this show. So I'll be right back. Quick commercial break and we will wrap up today's show. It's going to be a little shorter, like I said, a little shorter. So there's really not much going on. ETF inflows are coming in. Clarity Act is stalled. We're 50% off the all-time high. Big Bitcoin's taking over Bitcoin. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to find all the funny big Bitcoin memes that I actually, sorry, hold on. My message is going off here and big Bitcoin is saying that I have to do big Bitcoin memes on this show or else they're going to shut down my channel here. So I'm pledging my loyalty to big Bitcoin TM today. Anyways, guys, I'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin. Here's something most Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Ledin fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash. And they just introduced their lowest rates ever. No complexity, no fine print. The larger the loan, the lower the rate. These new rates apply to all new loans, refinances, and renewals. You'll see all the rates up front before you apply. The new, lower rates come with Ledin's gold standard protection. Your Bitcoin remains custodied and is never lent out for interest. Perfect 8-year track record of keeping clients' assets safe. Auto top-ups, LTV alerts, and partial repayments to keep you in control. Repay whenever you want with zero penalties or monthly payments. Ledin's perfect $10 billion track record through every market cycle in the last 8 years speaks for itself. Don't choose between a great rate and the safety of your Bitcoin. Get both at Ledin. If you ever thought, what happens to my Bitcoin if something happens to me? Or what happens if I lose my phone? You're not alone. For a lot of people, the biggest barrier to self-custody isn't buying Bitcoin. It's the fear of making a mistake. And that's why I like Bitkey and I recommend it to my friends and family. Bitkey is a Bitcoin wallet built for real life. Not just for day one, but for everything that happens in between. Lost devices, upgrades, accidents, and long-term ownership. There's no seed phrase to write down and worry about losing. And no single point of failure that can lock you out of your Bitcoin forever. What really stands out about Bitkey is the peace of mind. Recovery is built in. Inheritance is built in. It's a complete self-custody system built by the team behind Square and Cash App, designed to make holding your own Bitcoin simpler and safer. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today using Bitkey. Go to bitkey.world and use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off your new Bitkey. That's bitkey.world, promo code SIMPLY. I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy across 3 continents, HIVE runs dual engines, Bitcoin mining and AI compute. Their AI platform is ranked #1 in the world for network performance, and it's doing something bigger than compute. It's accelerating human discovery, the science, the breakthroughs, pushing humanity further and faster. Listed on the NASDAQ with the ticker HIVE. Catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech on X or HIVEdigitaltech.com.
You secured your Bitcoin, but did you secure your devices too? They're still broadcasting your location and digital footprint. GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cell, 5G, EMF, all of it is leaking. Escape Zone fixes that. Their Faraday bags block every signal your device emits, so you decide when you're detectable, not the grid. Built for Bitcoiners who know sovereignty isn't just your wallet. It's your phone, your hardware wallet, your keys, and your entire digital life. Go to escapezone.com/simply and use code SIMPLY for 10% off. That's escapezone.com/simply, code SIMPLY. Yeah, Interbound. Yeah, this is funny. I want to laugh at something other than how depressing Opti's big Bitcoin happened. Yo, got me there. Actually, I did want to cover this a little bit. I've been saying this for a little bit. You know, this was kind of what I wanted to cover, and then I was like, hard pivot on the show. I was like, yeah, you know what? What do we do a big Bitcoin meme show today? All right. But Killer XBT goes, has everyone suddenly forgotten that Bitcoin made a new all-time high before the halving last cycle? Have people forgotten that we reached a new all-time high just 476 days after the bottom, significantly faster than the previous two cycles? Cycle is accelerated. I expect the same thing to happen again. Bitcoin will make a new all-time high pre-halving this cycle as well, which means bottoms will form quickly and so will tops. Seasonality works until it doesn't. We weren't supposed to break the all-time high pre-halving based on historical seasonality, yet we did. We were supposed to top in November/December based on seasonality, yet the cycle topped just days into October. Cycles don't follow a perfect script, so expecting the timing to mirror previous cycles perfectly is unreasonable, especially when subtle signs are already suggesting otherwise. Few understand. Have I not been saying this? I'm super glad that this idea is finally getting out to more people, and more people are, at least I would say, getting to the same idea. Because I don't think he follows I follow him. I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch the show. But I've seen more people kind of jump in on that idea. It's like, hey, look, one, you know, everyone, like Nico. I love Nico, but I'm going to use him as an example on this. He's like so convinced 4-year cycle's intact. He's like, look, it peaked exactly when it was supposed to in October because, you know, the 4chan post said so, and therefore in October of this year, it's going to go down 70% or whatever to 40K. And I'm like, it's like the 4-year cycle is working out exactly as said. I'm like, yeah, except for we got an all-time high before the halving. Does that not necessarily break the, you know, the things that mean 4-year cycle? But, you know, it never sunk in. And I've been thinking recently, and I think I've said it on the show a couple of times. I'm like, look, we got all-time high about a month before the halving. At the very least, you know, 42 IQ logic and math here. It's like everyone is thinking October is going to be the bottom. So I would just kind of shifting the timeline a little bit. I'm like, bottom would most likely be in September. Then I saw this other tweet and he was trolling. He's like, look, I'm going to front run the, oh, wait, sorry. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think I mixed up my months here. No, I didn't. He's like, you know, everyone is expecting the bottom to be in October. So I'm going to front run the bottom and buy in September. And he's like, and then Wall Street's going to front running the October bottom and buy in August. Hence, bottom's already in. The 4-year cycle is very much a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because people believe it will happen. And now everyone's doing the, oh, wait, if the bottom's going to be in on October, well, maybe I should buy before October. And then everyone's going to front run that guy. And I'm like, dude, it's already in. Again, like, we might be a little choppy here, but I'm like, the bottom's already in, guys. It's not playing out. Like, if you're listening to Ben Cowan waiting for October, or listening to Nico waiting to buy October, dude, you're doing it wrong. You should have your position ready by October. You should have your position ready by September. I would say you should have your position ready now, but if you're waiting to deploy capital, maybe you want to have your position in by August, September at the latest. Anyways, let's go into some memes. If the 4-year cycle is real, will BitBoy rise again too? Dude, it's a Nico. Nico's the new BitBoy, bro. Oh shit! You know, I was thinking the other day. This is for the real true diehards here. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, man, I talked so much shit about Nico. Like, if you didn't know that he's like my best friend, you would think I don't even like the guy. I'm like, no, sorry guys. I have a really weird love language where like I make fun of my best friends even more than like I go super like pause. Like you guys didn't hear. I talk the most smack to my best friends. That's just kind of how I work. That's how I grew up. Me and my friends. We used to, all right, story time. It's Friday. You know, maybe I don't know if you guys enjoy the random Opti stories of you know, things other than Bitcoin. I saw someone yesterday. It's like, dude, bear market things. Opti's talking about the color of his shirt. So true. Anyways, side rant. Just nothing really to do with Bitcoin. But when I grew up, me and my friends, all we would do was kind of just like roast each other the whole time. And that's because we you know, we grew up watching Jackass and Dave Chappelle and the Chappelle show. We loved it. And we kind of had this unspoken game where all you would do was roast your friends, and you lost the game when you got angry at the roast. So like the point of the game was trying to make your friend get so mad that he would rage quit and crash out. So to not lose the game, you would just have to up the ante with roasts until someone finally said something, and it was just like, it was basically like you know, you had to fight it out. Like that's how I grew up. So, you know, I've been thinking about this recently. I'm like, man, dude, I honestly feel bad for Nico sometimes because I'd just be talking so much smack. And he's just such an autist that half the time he thinks I'm being serious. And I'm like, no, dude, it's just funny. It's just that's just how I communicate with my best friends. And it's also like, if you've ever met me in person, I'm obviously like loud and wild, and you know, I make jokes and some dark, edgy, uncouth jokes half the time. But if I don't know you, I'm like much more reserved, and you know, I'm like, hey, hi, how's it going? Good to see you. You know, like I'm not saying like crazy stuff. Only on this show am I saying crazy stuff to, you know, strangers on the internet because I'm just so comfortable doing this. And then when I'm sitting here with my best friend, it's just like saying crazy stuff. But like I only roast my friends because I know and love them. I don't just roast strangers. Like if you meet me, I'm not just going to start roasting you. Unless we have some kind of relationship on Twitter, then I'll do that. Anyways. All right, caught, dude. I got caught. That's exactly what I was going to say, dude. Totally. Opti takes it better than he can dish it out. Dude, I'm on. It's the medium. The medium is the message, okay? The medium is the message, all right? Anyways, let's pull up some of these big Bitcoin memes. Actually, this is kind of a good meme here. Some chart boying memeing. Obviously, I was covering the BitMEX news yesterday, and I saw this circulating. It goes, whenever an exchange fails, it marks the bottom. We have Mt. Gox, you know, what was that, like 2015? We have BitGrail 2019. We have FTX at the very bottom of 2022. And now we have BitMEX wrapping up its doors. Meme magic real, guys? You know, I think I was saying this yesterday. It's super interesting that, like, BitMEX closing its doors, like I was saying yesterday, to me, that was probably the most interesting news. Maybe I should have just done yesterday's show, like Bitcoin exchange fails, Bitcoin bottom in. Maybe that would have got me some clicks yesterday. But hey, maybe history does rhyme. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And actually, dude, I'm basically just doing a meme review of my boy TR Fiat Maximus and the PodConf Twitter account. It's been, these things are funny, man. All right. Anyways, let's go with the first big Bitcoin meme. This is officially sanctioned big Bitcoin meme, sponsored by Big Bitcoin, because they DM me very threatening messages this morning saying if I did not pledge my sole loyalty to Big Bitcoin, that they would bankrupt my company. So this is me doing my due diligence for Big Bitcoin. All right. TR, Big Bitcoin is in control. Here's the Big Bitcoin boardroom, which I can confirm looks exactly like this. You can see Big Bitcoin going up, the plebs going down, and Big Bitcoin's goals completed continue to go up. Oh, dude, this Big Bitcoin meme is so funny to me. It's the best. All right. Big Bitcoin, aka at PodConf, goes, because the price of Bitcoin is what matters. We have Tomer Strolites. Why Big Bitcoin ? You know, so you guys know I'm a big Bitcoin advocate. Number go up, Maxi. Another Fiat Maximus. Do you have too much fiat? Big Bitcoin's new suitcase has got you covered. Big Bitcoin suitcase stacked with fiat. God, I love it, man. Here we go. Another PodConf, Big Bitcoin. Big Bitcoin has the culture. Big BTC with Steve Aoki. The culture, man. We're bringing back the Bitcoin culture. Big Bitcoin is bringing back the Bitcoin culture. My boy Kaz. The, Rick Sanchez with the glasses. This cool Rick. I think this is cool Rick. Just Big Bitcoin. Dude, aura. Big Bitcoin's got aura. Big Bitcoin is cool Rick. This one, super mediocre meme. But when I saw this, I actually laughed. So we have Ron, Ron Swanunson. And he goes, I think a lot of you need to hear this. Every single business, institution, and government you hate is eventually going to adopt Bitcoin. Don't act so surprised. Diggity Doc Yaw just does a big B with an eagle, Big Bitcoin. I don't know why this was so funny to me. Maybe I am a boomer. Now here, this one's pretty funny. Again, Fiat Maximus, big Bitcoin corporate members after crushing the plebs. Same drama, different people. It's a WWF freak sponsored by Big Bitcoin. The keyfabe. You can see the keyfabe happening in real time. Dude, all right, follow me here. What if, now that Big Bitcoin is here, we start to see Blackrock crashing out on Morgan Stanley over Bitcoin protocol changes? Honestly, that'd be kind of beautiful. They'd start calling each other, you're not a real Bitcoiner, bro. Your fees aren't as low on your ETF as I am. You don't custody your Bitcoin correctly. You custody at Coinbase. Oh, man. Let's see. Big Bitcoin is bringing sexy back, David. Offended. I held the flashlight for my dad. For real, dude. Let's see. I know it's a lie because Opti said he saw the inside of the boardroom. We all know that. I've never been in a boardroom ever, bro. I've never been in a boardroom. Okay. That's the Anheuser-Busch logo, isn't it? I don't think, no, dude, that's a big Bitcoin logo, bro. That's American big Bitcoin logo. Let's see. Oh, just need to have plebs at the people in the ring. Yeah. Who's going to be the swab of Bitcoin? I don't know what that means. Keyfabe, Opti, Keyfabe. I know. I'm seeing you guys on Rumble. All right, let me just check Rumble. You guys yell at me because I ignore you. We should pitch and buy Opti some meme appreciation classes at the Leering Center. Oh, man. Big dude, C-suite. Big Bitcoin did catch on. Big Bitcoin is here to stay. Big Bitcoin is taking over Bitcoin. Big Bitcoin will make you rich. It's gonna centralize Bitcoin, but hey, you'll be rich. Big Bitcoin, man. Look, I guess being a little serious here. I think it's a funny meme. I think Big Bitcoin is like, it's such a good meme. Shout out to the Bugle guys for the Big Bitcoin meme. I think it's like, dude, sometimes, you know, I love Richard Greaser, but Rod Palmer's memes are just, dude, I wish I was as smart as Rod Palmer. I love the memes he's doing. I love the tweets. And the Bugle's creation of Big Bitcoin meme right now, it's so good. That's why I love the Bugle. I said this before, and I'm just gonna go. You know, look, forgive me. I'm gonna glaze the Bugle here, but I always find it interesting that everyone that's like in the, you know, someone that works in a Bitcoin company, like we all love the Bugle. Maybe it's because like I'm a media guy and I like to troll. I love the Bugle. You know, I'm not a fan of everything they did. It's not all funny, but man, when it hits, it hits. And it's interesting that if you are working in Bitcoin for a Bitcoin company, you usually most likely find the Bugle to be one of the funniest accounts on Twitter. And if you're just like a kind of, you know, everyday Bitcoiner, either you're like autistic and you don't get that it's all sarcasm, or you just you maybe don't know some of the background, you know, the inside baseball to really find the memes and tweets hilarious. But man, they crack me up. I'm a huge fan of the Bugle. They're doing some good stuff. Let me see. Can I find one more? I found one. Yo, Fiat Maximus, my boy, he's killing it. Because Big Bitcoin is open and transparent. I don't even know what's. Let's see, we got Mars. Good thing plebs are broke. Otherwise, their ambition to control Bitcoin would be an actual threat to Bitcoin. Yo, that's funny. And then we got this AI video here, or AI picture. A Big Bitcoin plans to crush broke plebs. 95% success rate. 92%. I don't know what that says there. Yo, that is so funny. Oh, I didn't show you. Glazed the Bugle. That sounds. Yo, this is so funny. Def not spooks, dude. I know the Bugle guys. They're definitely not spooks, bro. Let them eat cake. They will use banks for Bitcoin custody, who the masses and we few minority may choose self-custody. Yes. Yes. Man. This one's the top tier one. Dude, Big Bitcoin. You guys want to see something? I don't know if you guys caught this. Let me see if I can pull this up. This was going to be I'll do my addition to the meme review. Fresh off the press. This was going to be today's thumbnail, but I figured I'd change it. You know, maybe make a little better one. Big Bitcoin killing the plebs. Larry Fink. Yo, me and Sophie were dying at this morning. It's like, you got to do that. I don't know. I like that. I thought this was funny. I thought this was a good one. All right, guys. Well, it's Friday. We made it. We made it another week. We'll see what happens next week. let me make some predictions. Actually, I think you guys are going to really like the Monday show. I'm bringing Nolan in. Nolan Bowerly. My boy Nolan, Count Bitcoin of the, what's his show? Formerly, it was like the Bitcoin Breakup. Now I forget what his new name is. But he does live stream. He's basically, if I had to generalize, he's probably the most consistent Bitcoiner that I listen to. I love his show. I love his analysis. He's going to come in on Monday, and he's going to be here on the whole show. He's going to basically be my co-host for the Monday show. I'm going to do a meeting with him later today, and we're going to kind of plan on ideas of what to do for the Monday show. So if you aren't familiar with Nolan's work, I think this is going to be I'm basically going to, I'm going to think about what I want him to kind of, give you guys on Monday, but I'm definitely going to rely on him a lot so that you guys can hear the message that he's been saying. Obviously, I'll still do like a normal show. It'll be news in the beginning. We'll get Nolan's takes on it, but I'm probably going to cater the rest of the show a little differently than I normally do. It won't just be the trending topics and stuff going around. I'll probably bring up some stuff that I've heard him talk about that I really want to get my audience to understand, because maybe you guys don't watch Nolan like I do. So Monday is going to be a good show. We got Nolan here as a co-host, but my predictions for next week, I'm sure Clarity Act's going to be delayed more. Maybe we get a little crash. Maybe we get a little bit of a bump. There'll be some Larry Fink in there. Obviously, Sailor. That's the whole week. There we go. And Nolan. All right. There's next week already pre-planned. First home ownership, now Bitcoin. Dang, Blackrock. Yeah, dude, for reals. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day. That is the best thumbnail ever made, Opti. Should I switch it? Hey, yo, Elijah, should I switch it? So look, have a good rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed the show. Yeah, it was a little slower. The news is a little slower today. The show's a little shorter. I know. We'll make up for it on Monday. I'm sure me and Nolan are going to have a really good conversation for you guys. It's going to be a lot of value there. A lot of takes that you probably haven't heard in other Bitcoin podcasts. And I will have to try. I'm not going to censor my boy Nolan, but, we're going to be on YouTube. So I'm going to have him play nice. But anyways, have a good weekend, man. Eat some good food. Get a workout. Get outside. Get a little sun on your face. Get your 10K steps in. Call your loved ones. Hey, let's enjoy a drink or two. We're not endorsing it, but hey, I think I might drink a little wine this weekend. A little wine and steak, We may be 50% off all-time high, but treat yourself. I might do that after today's show. I'm going to go hit this Argentinian steakhouse. I'm going to get a steak, get a little wine, and I'm going to enjoy life a little bit. But most importantly, stack some Bitcoin and take it into cold storage. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a big, fun weekend. Peace out.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.